Hey, this is Dorian Francis, community baby, and this is my story.
Okay, so tell everyone, where are you from?
I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, born and raised uptown. Raised on the Louisiana Avenue Parkway. Was under the mentorship of KLC, aka the drum major, my cousin, big brother mentor, somebody that really gave me a reason to live. And in the late '80s, early '90s, when a lot of things was going on in New Orleans, he was very driven and ambitious about music, and he allowed me to come into the basement in the recording sessions from time to time, and that kind of gave me a purpose and a reason to want to be in art music. So shout out to KLC, great guy, great mentor, great contributor to the community and the music of New Orleans and the world. And that's who kind of sparked that in me. Like, he wrote a rap for me when I was probably like, I want to say 10 years old. And I remember it. It was like, coming on the mics next to me, Baby Bubble. I do work on the double and I cause a lot of trouble. Maybe kind of young, but I'm very far from dumb. If you think you can handle this, come and try to get some. I stand 4 feet when I'm on the stage. Now I'm well paid and I'm cooling in the shade. This verse is kind of short, so I'm gonna take a break. I'm too young to pass a snake, so I'm chilling with a shake. You know what I'm saying? So, just like being excited to learn that rhyme. Although it took me a long time to learn it. Once I finally got it and started saying it, I was going around school like I'm a rapper. You know what I'm saying? So, and then at the time, that was
elementary. Say you're a rapper.
Hey, yeah, but that was big because at my elementary school, Mac went to elementary with me, BG, Soulja Slim, like all of us went to the same elementary school. So at the time, Mac was I Need
Do you
Wills.
remember them?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
how was it Mac, Soulja Slim, to the world, and how were they in elementary? Were they good students, or you kind of saw the verge of them going into gangster rap?
Nah, they were kids. We all were kids, man. Just full of just art creativity. And, some of us did crazy things. I mean, just, you got to think about it. And elementary is between the ages of 6 and 12 or 13.
Right.
So at that time, kids are still trying to figure out. I mean, some of them haven't even reached puberty yet, but right at the brink of it. So that's when the testosterone and all those things start coming. So you can see the the creativity part. You can see the curiosity. I call it curiosity. I don't call it chaos, because sometimes a lot of people get into things, explore different avenues based on curiosity. So I think that's when probably I want to say the 4th, 5th grade. It's when curiosity starts sinking in for all of us. Mac has always been a very articulate, educated, driven dude, passionate about music.
And he was a very young rapper.
Oh yeah, and one of the things that was big in our community was backflipping. Mac was great at backflipping. BG used to be at the time we called him Doogie. You know what I mean? He was great at that. Slim was Slim was clumsy. Not when we was kids, but those were things that we did in the neighborhood. We played basketball. We had different yards around the community that we called grass yards. And those were kind of like our gymnasiums. So we would have different people from the community come in these areas. And we would have a mattress out there in some places. And then we would backflip. I think we call our crew the Red Beans. I think that's what, and then we all had Adidas, matching Adidas. It was real fun. And I remember, I want to say probably a 12 or 13, Doogie moved from that neighborhood. Because we all stayed in the same perimeter. Within Broad, Claiborne, Napoleon, and Taladana. All of our family stayed in that community. So, it was real.
That's kind of crazy because you just gave so much history without giving all the history. Basically, a lot of people wouldn't know that that Mac, Soulja Slim, and BG were actually playing with each other.
Yeah.
And before becoming rappers and adults. And,
Absolutely.
And it kind of made more sense if why they're on that chemistry was so it was acting so strong,
right,
on songs.
And we had this community center called the Broadmoor Community Center. This community center it gave us a foundation. They really had us doing things in the community. We would be cleaning up the neighborhood. we would have to plant like flowers, like and not specifically Mac and them, but just different kids from the community. I vaguely remember all of the things that we were into together. I know I remember Mac and I was on the same basketball team. So we played for this basketball team called EBC. It was Mac, myself, a couple of my cousins, a couple of my homeboys, a couple of guys from the neighborhood, and we started off real rocky, but we ended up winning like the championship. You know, so we used to walk from uptown to the gym on St. Charles and Napoleon where we would compete with other teams that played for other churches throughout the community. So that was time where we had a lot of building. We used to practice at Rosenwald Gym. So the brotherhood, the friendship, all of those things, like we had a lot of things going on that we did together to make us feel connected. So like you said, as adults, you know, they already had that rapport with one another. They already had played, already had great relationships and had an understanding of different personalities and all that stuff. So yeah, that's what it was like growing up.
Okay, so, you know, like, you know, but a lot of people don't give, I'm like, KL, I'm like, these flowers. Like,
Man, that dude.
Because, like, he's really like like, he's a person that actually, I'm like, connected a lot of dots. Absolutely. With No Limit.
He connected a lot of dots with the city. Okay. KL connected a lot of dots. Manny Fresh connected a lot of dots. I say, bro, those guys were so ahead of their time. They were pioneers. Like what Greggy D and Manny Fresh accomplished back then was monumental. And this was a time when New Orleans didn't have an industry. If I'm not mistaken, those brothers had a deal. They got a deal back then. You know, they were full of tenacity, full of creativity, young, aspiring minds that did great things. Like KL, bro, he spent, like, I vaguely remember some of this stuff because again, I was like, I was really young. But for what I could remember, KL spent most of his life in that studio, and it was so great to go in it because you would go in the studio and on the ceiling and around you had different rappers that had came through, names on the ceiling and wall. I can remember having Mystical, some of his first music on a cassette. You know what I mean? Like I was privy to that. You know, so like Mystical like was like super great, even like as a young adult. I want to say like around 1920. Mr. Servon, been down with KL doing things. Like all of these guys had like everybody that somebody had to walk, right. The walk of fame, I call it. It's the alleyway in which you park at the front of the house and walk through the alleyway to the basement to the back. So many great individuals walk that walk. And you know, it's like I remember when KL and them was in the 3-9 Posse group, it was he, Dart, and Mushat. Like these dudes were so far ahead of their time. They went off to New York, I think, to get a deal back then again. And you know, things like that, you know, they coming on in the neighborhood taking album cover pictures and stuff like that. Man, that made us feel hopeful. You know, that gave us so much pride about our community. You know, it was just so honorable to like look in the back of the album cover picture and you see us all in this picture together as teenagers. So those things again gave us hope because I mean at a time you have a couple different things that you can get into. But for those of us that were interested in inspired by the arts, that was something that kind of inspired us to go harder and take it to the next level.
Gotcha. So like, you know, people probably watching this right now and they're going to ask this question like, what do you do?
It's funny. I was riding with my little niece the other day and she was like, Uncle Dorian, where do you work? And it was so funny. So man, first and foremost, I work for the community. I work for the people. Again, being a part of the Broadmoor Community Center growing up, like it was a community-based organization. And they work hard to service the people in the community. And they instilled that in us. They say regardless of what you do professionally, make sure that you come back and do it for the community. I also love the arts. So in my mind, like if I can find things that I was passionate about, a purpose to do, and make money off of those things, then I've discovered my passion in life. So I'm a community advocate. You know, I go hard for making sure that the community have resources. They're educated on things, whether it's job fairs or whether it's resume writing class, interviewing skills, knowing how to dress for a job interview. That's extremely important to me. Learning the significance of credit, investment, and just what it is to be habilitated as a human being, to be habilitated, to have the basic foundation, a foundation to do and be a model citizen. So that's one part of me. The other side of me is art. Like I started my own clothing line, the Dorian Francis line. A lot of people think it may appear that I just popped out of the blue, but since I was a teenager, I used to have my name and signature embroidered on my clothes. And I used to actually draw my own clothes, like jeans. I used to draw the Bart Simpsons and all that stuff on my jeans when I was like 12 years old. So I would always be unique. I would have like all my partners, the signatures, the names, and colorful letters and stuff that I wore with the Adidas with the nylon tank top. So the fashion thing has always been something that I've been excited about. Art. I was in art school. I went to apply for drama school. I didn't get in, but drama was something that I was also always passionate about. Music I was always passionate about. So I always figured if I can take the arts and the things that I do and teach young people through the arts, that would be a great connection. So now currently I would call myself a consultant. A consultant and a mentor. A consultant in the form of nonprofit development, fundraising, marketing, and also developing art and education after school programs. So when people see me, if they want to ask, I'm the guy that if you want to start a program, you can talk to me about. If you want to market your business or learn about marketing, I'm the guy that you talk about. Because my background, I have a degree in business management with a concentration in international business, and I also have a degree in marketing. And in my mind, when I was a young guy, I figured if I wanted to go into business, I needed to understand business the way people understand life. So the way people can operate as a human being with math and English, I feel like with marketing and management in the business world, that would set me apart. But not only be able to do it domestically, I want to be able to do it internationally too. So that's why I decided to also venture out and get educated in the area of international business.
Okay. So, like I'm like in the arts world, business world, and music world, like I want you to explain like how important like credit is.
Oh man. So credit is extremely important because with every relationship, with most relationships, it starts with trust. A person, you develop rapport and you develop a relationship with a person based upon trust. And that's basically what credit is. The way you will build a relationship with a friend or a companion based on trust and discipline, that's the same thing that it is to build relationships with creditors, banks, and financial institutions. So the way you would want that person to be honest with you, be transparent with you, and be truthful with you, that's the same way that you be with your finances and the creditors in the financial institution that you build relationships with. The stronger those relationships are, the more disciplined you are. And when I say discipline and the capacity of playing, if you have credit cards, pay your credit card bills. If you make loans, pay your loans on time. Actually, I would recommend that you put them on auto pay. That's just my personal opinion, because you don't ever have to worry about forgetting, like, oh man, I forgot to do this, and then you get penalized, not because you was careless, but I mean you forgot, and that's a form of being careless, but it's an honest mistake. So I recommend that when you start off, man, even if you put your credit card on a minimum of auto pay, you still have current, your activity is current. Credit is extremely important. Personal credit and also business credit. Personal credit is important when you only want to work and have a career. But if you want to be an entrepreneur or develop your own business, I encourage that you trademark your company name, license it, LLC it, and then work to start building your business credit.
Okay. So, like, doing all the things like that you do, tell us what you enjoy most about it, and tell us what you actually dislike about it, because I'm not gonna say hate.
Okay. So what I love about what I do the most is I love being a servant. I love to serve the people. I love to serve. I love to teach. What I love the most is when I can go into either a juvenile prison or in a school and say, all right, the kids that y'all have, that y'all feel need more work than others, bring them in the area and let me work with them. And to be able to take those kids, kind of assess them and work with them to bring the best out of them, and may work with some young guys in a juvenile prison or work with kids that's in an alternative school, and then have them going on to college or have them starting businesses, or have them just being more in tune with life based upon me giving them basic principles about life. Respect, trust, honesty, being educated, because the significance of educated, knowing how to read, just being a confident person. And that confidence come not only from what you buy, not only what you wear, not what you drive, but what's on the inside of you. Do you have personality? Do you have character? You know, those inner characteristics, are you articulate? You know, how is it when you meet someone? Can you talk to them? Like, all of those things, that's extremely important. So I love seeing change. I love seeing people grow. I love seeing people not know what they want to do, sit down with them, assess them, help them to understand who they are, what they're capable of, watching them set goals, and then accomplish them. The part that can be challenging is the same thing. You know, a person who has a history of learning the wrong thing. I learned, my grandmother did it, my mom did it, now I'm doing it. And when you meet me and I'm engaging you like, hey, little bro, little sis, that's not right what you're doing. And it was like, what do you mean? Who are you to tell me what's right and what's wrong? My mom did it, my grandmother did it. Well, unfortunately, they may have been doing the wrong thing. Your grandmother may have done it out of mere survival. You know, back in the day, she needed to do this just to survive and get by. Your mama pick up on it because that's what her mother did. You pick up on it because that's what your mother did. I don't expect you to just take it as, all right, what Mr. Dorian saying is right and what I'm doing is wrong. No, research it. Measure it up against facts. Measure it up against results. Are what you're doing helping you or hindering you and setting you back? Now, if it's helping you, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to do my research to determine, all right, well, maybe this young person have a creative or alternative way of doing things, and maybe I'm out of touch. You know, so I never go into something figuring that this person may be wrong and I'm right. Nah, let's open it up for discussion because I have made some mistakes. And bruh, I went back like 5 years later and called a friend or a relative like, bruh, I'm sorry. And he's like, what? I'm like, man, remember 5 years ago and I did this, and I was like, I was wrong. Because, you know, one of the things of being, you know, a leader, you know, being somebody that work with people, accountability is a big thing. And if I mess up, in which I've messed up a lot of times, man, and I've learned from my mistakes. And I hope that, you know, if I ever made a mistake with someone, that I've had the opportunity to be able to mend that and ask for their forgiveness. You know, because, you know, growing up, I didn't know much of anything. My dad left the street when my mom was pregnant, went to the penitentiary. My mom, you know, was in the street on drugs. So, you know, I was that kid that was always told, you ain't gonna be nothing because your mom in jail or your dad in prison. You know, however, man, my imagination, which is so incredible, the arts was the thing that allowed me to be free and to travel outside of my community. And my community, everything they said was what they expected me to be. They expected me to be a product of my environment. However, I took the products around my environment and recreated them to products that was conducive to benefit my community. The young guys in the community, they want to hang out. Hey, look, I'm going to Sam's. I'm going to buy boxes of candy. Hey, go set up at the red lights. Sell this. Bring the money back to me. We sit down. We take that money. We go out to eat. I used to take them to Cheesecake Factory, a bistro. Teach them etiquette. Take them out to eat. When New Year's come around, we go buy boxes of fireworks, all from their hard work and effort. And I started teaching them about business. Started teaching them about good. Like one time, one young man said, Mr. Dorian, I don't think we need to buy any more Reese's because it's not selling like the Twix and the Snickers. I was like, do you know that's good inventory versus bad inventory? So even at 12 or 13 years old, these kids understood business, but not in a formal form. But it gave me an opportunity to really build with them in that capacity. I told them about management. One of them was like, man, we need our bags with our logo on it because people think we stealing this candy and reselling it. I said, that's called branding and marketing. So it's like I didn't have to force it. You know, I introduced them to something that had an opportunity attached to it. And through that, by way of that, I was able to start teaching them business. You know, so man, that's been incredible. That's been like the most remarkable thing. Like, man, when I see a young person, this young guy that I met working in the juvenile prison, and I'll forget the story. He was very young, and before I left the prison, he asked him if he can come out of the cell for me to pray with him. I was like, where he spend most of his time? He was like, in a cell. I was like, nah, lock me in a cell with him. So as we in a cell locked up, you know, I started telling him about the parable of Joseph in the Bible. You know, all of the stuff that Joseph went through. You know, his brother sold him into slavery. He ended up going to prison, falsely accused for something, but he never forgot God's promise for his life. And I was like, it's the same way with you, little bro. This is not your final destination. It only is if your mindset and you don't set higher expectations and goals. I say, man, you can make it beyond this. And man, 2 years later, I ran on little dude. You know, he was back in high school. 2 years later, he ran up on me, had on a suit, told me he was in college, studying economics. And I'm like, where did that come from? He was like, man, that encounter that I had with you when I was in juvenile prison, I thought in my mentality, after I go to prison one time, I would continue to go back. But he was like, you gave me a totally different perspective. And that's why, man, I love working with young people and sharing information.
Yeah, some people just need that talk.
Absolutely.
Because I remember when I was young, I always told myself, if I would get caught, I quit. But it's sad that I had to get caught to quit. But like now, me being 35, I wish I never got caught. Like, because there's so much that goes along with being a felon that you wish you never did. Right. But it's like some people need that talk before that even happens. Like before you before you actually get before you actually become a person in the system. Right. Because it's so much you can't do once you're a felon. Absolutely. Like it don't matter how successful you become, it's still stuff you can't do. Right. Yeah. And it's still ways you can still risk it all being a felon. Right. So absolutely, it's kind of crazy. But
and what is it worth?
It ain't worth.
You know that stamp that you get as a felon. You know, after you become convicted, I don't think you're eligible for financial aid. So if you want to go to college, that's a wrap. And so that's one of the things that I had to also struggle and deal with because, you know, I went to college at Loyola. So when I would go into neighborhood on my break from college, you know, sometimes police will pull up. So it's like when I'm chilling, you know, on my break from college, they like, oh, college boy. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You was talking about you go to college, but you out here. I'm like, no, I'm not. You know, I would have my schedule, my backpack on me and stuff like that. But just think about if one of those cops decided at that time that we about to cancel his college career.
And throw some
put some crack on him. Yeah. Put a gun on him. That's a wrap. And even if I didn't get convicted, now I have to deal with this. I have to pay with this. And this is just for me.
I have a cousin that was in VCU college. And a guy just randomly told the police my cousin was with him when he was shooting. Well, he shot his house up. He told my cousin had to come down and turn himself in at Orleans Parish. And just that little incident, him coming to turn himself down, it's been problems for him his whole life now. Yeah. You know, he's a social worker, but it's still stuff he can't do. Right. Because of that, you know, if that arrest made while he was in college. Right. So you know, sometimes our life depends on how the police feel too. Like the justice system. Absolutely. And that's kind of, you know, crazy.
But that's why it's important that, man, so it's like you take 10 people and put them in a room. Actually, a classroom. Let's say you take 10 kids in a classroom. Especially in today's society, kids are bused from all over the city to come to school. One kid out the 7th ward, 9th ward, 3rd ward, 4th ward, 5th ward, 10th ward, 12th ward, whatever. You got all of these different things that's going on in all these different communities. Right. All of these different perspectives. We wear our pants this way. We wear these type of sneakers. We wear this. We wear that. So now, if the person, it can either be ran as a democracy, or it could be ran like a tear in jail. It could be ran by a tear in jail both ways. But the tier rep, one tier rep could be run things civil, and the other tier rep run things like a tyrant. You could have these guys all talking about being civil until it's time to get sustenance, until it's child time. And that'd be the determining factor of, I gotta get me. And one of the things that I never want our kids to be in is that situation. You know, it's important that we put educators, we put leaders, we put people in front of our kids that understand them. Because if you have a diverse group of kids, it shouldn't be turmoil. It should be a breathing space for innovation. If I got 10 different personalities, that's 10 times the success that I can get, or 10 times the creativity that I can get from getting all of these perspectives, putting them together. And that's one of the things, man, that I would like to see from our city. Brothers like myself and other great brothers. You have this guy, one of my mentors, Kelvin Napoleon, great mentor. You have partners in crime, Mr. Mina Kango, great dudes. You got Eldon, good guy. You have man, there's so many guys. Brother Roosevelt, great guy. You got Cello doing this thing. You have so many great guys that have been through things, not just hypothetically speaking, but been through things that can come back and testify about what they went through and want to make a difference. It's so many great people. So my thing has always been, what does it look like when all of these great minds come together for one common cause, a goal? And that's what I want to see going into the new year. I would like to see all of us come together. All of us come up with a series of ideas and concepts to help the youth, not even help, to groom the youth and to help them and to support them with advancement. And then we all work in common, like a common goal. Our common goal would be to be on the same page.
Right. I just remember being young, having different like people, like some dudes was X Street dudes. Mm-hmm. I remember even meeting Lawrence Taylor when I was young. But my thing is, just me being a bad kid, just curious, trying to get money like the dudes in the streets and different things like that. I think the only way that can help the youth is showing them how to make income legally. Mm-hmm. Like if you don't show them how to make income legally, they're gonna go back to what they know. You gotta think about it. They're in poverty. Their parents ain't got it. Mm-hmm. Some kids don't really eat.
Right.
So it's like, you come give me all this preaching, I should do this and do that, but it still ain't helping my situation right now.
Right. So one of my mentors told me a while ago. He said, "Man, always remember that the eye is a more receptive pupil than the ear is." And I was like, "Explain. What are you talking about?" He was like, "You have a Bible. You have scriptures. You have the guy that read the scriptures and the person that hear it. You have the guy that read the Bible, internalize the scriptures, and act it out in his everyday life. So every step that he take, he's being a living example." I think our kids are tired of us talking. They want to see some work. They want to see examples. Right. So it's more impactful, like you said, when we labor with them, hand in hand. Hey, this is how you do this. This is how you start a business. This is how you create credit. This is how you do all those great things.
I think like all these centers getting built. I think like the centers that's like the new and current and the older ones that's getting built need to follow up on brand new times. Like if these kids want to be music artists, make them make stuff like build studios in like a big old community center. Like if a kid want to be a drummer, clothing designer, like they need to have centers for what kids already have interest to.
Right. Like
how they have in other cities.
But that goes back to the question that you asked me about media and how to be more balanced. So it's a 2-part commitment and responsibility. You have city government and then you have the community. Things are great when you have strategic and intentional partnerships. You might have a organization that caters to young girls, and the city have a contract about educating young girls. So just being able to, and that's why I wanted to become a consultant, because I've worked in for-profit, but I've worked in so many different sectors. I worked in for-profit, non-profit, education, hospitality, Jazz Fest corporate office, Essence corporate office, television, radio. I worked in so many different capacities, along with the unorthodox education that I've received. I take all of those things and mesh it together. So I'm kind of like a geek when it comes to education, partnerships, and all that stuff. So my thing is like what you're saying. So the first thing I would like, man, the centers and the kids need to be. So I sit down and look at the centers. I talk to the kids to understand what the needs are, and then I aim to go find a corporate company, a sponsor that can come in to what everybody win. The center provide a center for music, Guitar Center donate equipment for kids that want to learn music, the kids are able to come partake in this, and now you got VH1 behind the music or Verizon that have these grants that's associated with creating and supporting music programs. So now it all works together. And that's when things start working. It's important that we spend very little time talking about the problem versus sitting down, really talking about a goal and a solution, taking action steps, and getting those things accomplished.
Correct. So tell us, what's next for you?
Wow, man. Let me see. There's a lot of things. Let me see if I can talk about what's immediately next. So what I would like to be next for me, about 10 or 12 years, I was running a program at an art and music program with my partner, Kelvin Napoleon, at Sarah T. Reed High School that we call Beats and Lyrics. And in that program, we recorded music with the students. We did music videos. And one of the last projects that we did before we stopped providing services at the school was we did a movie. We recorded a 30-minute movie with our students. None of them had acting experience. I wrote the script, shared it with the drama coordinator and a creative writing coordinator. The students add additional characters to the script, and we end up getting a 30-minute movie. I'm compiling that in the music videos to create one hour-long work of media, and then I produced a song with Denicia, this kid Jordan, and the band Cool Nasty called Peer Pressure and Free to Be Me. And we have the live band version, and God bless my brother Blazer Soul, before he passed away, he did his version. So I would like to finish the music video with Denicia, use that to promote the movie, and then take this movie and bring it to the schools and let the kids watch it to be inspired by seeing other teenagers and other students create their own body of work.
Hey, that sounds dope.
Yeah.
And I hope you do it.
For sure.
And also, last but not least, tell everyone, where can they find you on social media and just everywhere? Okay, so on social media, my handle is Nola Experience, NOLA, no E, NOLA XPERIENCE. On Facebook, you can find me at Dorian Francis, DORIAN, last name Francis, FRANCIS, and that's how you can catch me. All right, we done. And also, but that is your story.
That's my story.